The focus of Chapter 6 is deviance and crime. Crime is easy to identify. It is any act that violates a law. Whether or not we think that law is a good one is not a question we ponder. All we know is crime is any act that violates a law. Deviance, on the other hand, is more difficult to define. The reason for that is because how we think of what is deviant changes. It changes over time. It changes from place to place. And people in power typically define crime as well as deviance. For example, people who are identified as being deviant may not identify themselves in that way. Currently, in quite a few southern states, people who are transgender are considered to be deviant people. And many laws are being passed in these states to try to curtail the rights of transgender persons as much as possible. However, transgender individuals do not think of themselves as deviant, nor do other states. Many of those states have laws that protect the rights of transgender persons. And so I think you're beginning to understand why deviance is difficult to define. We may not all agree. Sometimes religion plays a role in whether something is deemed deviant or even criminal. For example, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. 13 counties in the state allow legal prostitution. Now, of course, there are parameters, meaning that there are limits. First of all, sex is only supposed to be sold in brothels. Brothels are places that are outside city limits, that are areas where people can go and they can find somebody they'd like to have sex with, pay a fee, go off to a room, and when they are finished, they can even have a drink or a meal at some of these places. California and all the other states in the US outlaw the sale of sex, prostitution. Apparently, people in Nevada don't believe that prostitution is a bad thing. This has been going on for about 100 years or so now. But every other state thinks it's a bad thing. So who's right? I'm not going to make that decision. I'll let you ponder that. And so in this chapter, you'll learn about the difference between crime and deviance. And you'll also learn about the three perspectives and how those perspectives analyze crime. For example, functionalist perspective, remember, is generally trying to find something positive or good about the thing that it is studying. And so Emil Durkheim, over 100 years ago, posited the idea that there are potentially some good things that occur when someone commits deviant, when someone engages in deviant behavior. For example, he argued that sometimes when someone engages in deviant behavior, it can promote social change. It might also remind the rest of us that we're not supposed to do that thing. So it may clarify the norms for the rest of us. We can all pat ourselves on the back and tell ourselves what good people we are because we didn't do whatever that bad person did. In addition to that, it may unify those of us who are non-deviant people. It may make us feel good about ourselves, and we may come together and form groups because we are the good people. And that shouldn't be surprising that functionalist theorists can find something potentially positive coming out of a deviant or criminal act. Conflict theorists, of course, believe that how activities, how behaviors are identified as either criminal or deviant has much to do with what the people in power think. And what they think is not always consistent with what the general population feels. Here's a quick example. Currently, abortion is illegal in a growing number of states. Ever since Roe versus Wade was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, so what does that mean then for conflict theorists? They'd argue, well, that's just people in power making the decision to curtail a woman's right to choose what to do with her own body. Because the vast majority of polls, every poll that I've seen or read about, well over 70% of Americans believe that abortion should be legal within certain parameters, the ones that we had under Roe versus Wade. So clearly, the people who decided the Dobbs case didn't recognize how the rest of society felt, and they didn't care. And then, of course, symbolic interactionist perspective, we know, is focused on how we interact. And so when we think about crime and deviance and how someone being labeled either a deviant person or a criminal or an ex-con, etc., how does that influence the way that we interact with those other individuals? How does it influence the way we think about someone if they have one of those labels? I think this is a really fascinating chapter, and I hope that you enjoy it.